To order this June 27th, 2022 meeting of the Planning Commission to order. As a reminder, if you could please address and be recognized by the chair before speaking, that'd be greatly appreciated. The first item on the agenda is the approval of the April 25th, 2022 Planning Commission meeting minutes. Do I have a motion for approval of the minutes?
So moved.
Second.
Do we have any discussion on those minutes? All right, now next, let's vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. Approval of the April 25th, 2022 minutes has been approved. We will now have an open forum for an opportunity for the public to address the Planning Commission for items not on our agenda. If you wish to testify at the open forum public hearing, the call-in number for tonight's meeting is 415-655-0001, and the meeting ID is 246-846-43503. If you are here in person, please sign in at the podium. If you are joining remotely via phone, please raise your hand and you'll be unmuted by staff. When it is your turn to speak, please state your name and address and the organization you represent, if any. Each person will be given 5 minutes to make their comments or 10 minutes of speaking as a representative of the group. Those who are joining via phone will get a message when they're called on to speak, so there will be about a 10-second delay before you will be heard. Also, you may not need to remind. Do we have anybody? We have anybody in? Nope. We will now close the public hearing. Do we have a motion to close the public hearing? What? You don't need one. Okay. Next thing on the agenda is the approval of the agenda. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
I second.
All in favor say aye.
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 Approval of the agenda passes. The next item on the agenda is a consideration of a request for interim use permit allowing Minnesota Independence College and Community to continue to use the property at 2000 76th Street West for social, meeting, and office space for the community program. Staff, do we have a report?
Thank you, Chair Rudolph. The applicant, Minnesota Independence College and Community, or MICC, is a nonprofit vocational and life skills training program for artistic and neurodiverse young adults. MICC has been operating out of the Colony Apartments in Richfield for over 20 years. Their educational curriculum includes helping students make successful transitions towards independent living and financial self-sufficiency. Members of the community living program have graduated from MICC and have access to the program for social connection and independent living support. MICC was granted an interim use permit, or an IUP, to use the property at 2000 76th Street West for office/recreation space in 2016. This permit expires this month. The property is zoned single-family residential, and use as an office/recreational space is not permitted by the zoning code, so a new IUP is necessary. There are no changes proposed to the building, and staff have reviewed the proposed use and finds that it will continue to maintain the residential character of the property and neighborhood. So staff recommends approval of a 5-year IUP. And staff is present. I'm present for any questions, and I believe the applicant, from MICC, can also answer any questions you might have.
Does anybody have any questions for staff?
Is there, how did the 5-year term, how is that developed, and is that a good timing? Do we need to think about shorter or longer, or is 5 years going to be sufficient?
Commissioner Stursa, 5 years is a typical IUP length. It is the maximum length for an IUP in Richfield. Their last IUP was for a total of 5 years. They had 1 year, like a 1 year given IUP, and they chose to renew it, which was part of the allowed as part of their approval. So it's just a second 5-year IUP for them.
Great, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Quick question. So if this was zoned differently, they wouldn't need an IUP? And is there any plan to zone that?
Yeah, so because it's zoned residential, their office use isn't permitted in that space, in that zoning. Off the top of my head, I can't recall. I think all the commercial zoning would permit it. But because this is residential, it requires an IUP for a use that's not permitted.
Thank you. Any more questions? Commissioner Sturts.
So can IUPs be renewed every 5 years indefinitely, subject to review?
I don't know the answer to that question. I would assume yes, since they expire after 5 years, and you'd have to apply every single 5 years or less if they're approved for fewer years.
Okay, thanks.
All right. Applicant?
My name's Ben Lentz, Director of Development with Minnesota Independence College and Community. And thank you for taking in consideration our request for another 5 years on the interim use permit.
Does anybody have any questions for the applicant?
Can you tell us a little bit about the programming that you do in that space?
Definitely. So MICC operates as a nonprofit, provides services for adults with autism spectrum disorder and learning differences. This specific house is used for graduates of our 3-year college program, and it's for their ongoing independent living supports. So they may have an advisor there that they come in and meet with, talk about their independent living, or the advisor who is officed and housed there might go to their apartment to do a check-in and help with that continuation. The last 5 years, the spaces originally was a more robust social engagement space, but as we've grown as an organization, we've had to partner with Woodlake Church, and we've moved our social program there, but have maintained this house to be an office space for our advisors. And it's a great proximity to where most of our graduates who are in that program continue to live.
Chair Ruda, were you before us a few months ago for something related, not you yourself, but your organization for something?
We did. We met with the city council, and we also went with the HRA to propose support for development of the property that we're doing the interim use permit on. Our goal in the future is to partner with the city of Richfield, which has been a great partnership so far, on the development of the property to serve as an affordable housing complex or apartments, while MICC would have the main floor to serve as our expanding program and social space. So that would have been, I believe, summer of June of 21. I think we were here for that request, and thankfully the support was extended for our process to continue to explore what we're trying to do.
Thank you.
Commissioner Sturts, you had a question?
It was to that point. Timing-wise, do you anticipate this use continuing for the full 5 years, or do you have any sense of timing on this?
Very good question, Commissioner. Our hope would be in the process that we're going through right now of trying to put a financial package together to go forward with the project. It would be less than the 5-year window. We're targeting housing support funding through the Minnesota Housing Finance Authority, so trying to do a 9% tax incremental finance. Very competitive, and while we want to be remaining optimistic, we do know that it could be 1 or 2 cycles before we could get a full consideration. But within the next 5 years, it would be very much in our hopes and our dreams as an organization to be moving forward with the project, and this interim use permit would not be necessary anymore.
Thank you.
Any more questions for the applicant?
Can I just ask you to sign in before you go so we get your name?
Absolutely.
Thank you. Because MICC as an organization applied, so just want a record.
If we don't have any more questions, we would like to close the public hearing. Do we have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Commissioner Rudolph, I move to close the public hearing.
I'll second.
Okay. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. The public hearing is now closed on this item. At this point, we'll have any discussion, any questions for staff. My question would be if we approve this for 5 years and they do find a solution and vacate the property or whatnot, this will automatically be void? Is it tied to the business or just the address?
This would be tied to the address. So it wouldn't be void, but I think if there is development plans, we would work with this approved agreement, and since they wouldn't need the residential zoning anymore, it might void it. I guess I don't have a legal answer for you off the top of my head, but
Okay.
yeah, we could look into it.
Of course, this property, I know that the vision is to develop it differently. So, my question is about the process. This will have to go through. I understand this is likely something that will come before this commission in the future, but what does have to go? What are the steps before that happens? Like, I understand rezoning, so city council approval, but what steps have to happen before it comes back before us again, and before we even have to consider whether this permit will be terminated with the future plans for the property?
Commissioner Surma, I believe the process, depending on the development and its future, so again, it's I don't have a solid answer, but usually a development comes to Planning Commission, they recommend approval to City Council. So it could be, as the applicant said, up to 5 years, maybe a little less. Then we would look at that application that came to Planning Commission and evaluate it at that time. But again, I don't have like a solid legal answer of how it would interact with this IUP.
That's fine. I was just looking for a general outline. I know that's
Yeah.
quite a ways out yet still. I just don't want to get out ahead of myself.
Commissioner Keneally.
I would just like to say, after learning about MICC last summer during the work session and hearing more about the programming tonight, that I hope we can continue supporting what you're doing here. I'm absolutely in favor of what we're seeing in front of us.
Thank you, Commissioner.
I completely agree. Do we have any more questions, or would somebody like to make a motion?
I concur with what the first commissioner said. I've only heard such great things about MICC, and you do such great work in our community, and I value the partnership that we've had and hope that that continues to grow with these new plans. But in the interim, I will recommend approval of an interim use permit allowing Minnesota Life College to use property at 2076th Street West for social meeting and office space for their community program.
A second.
Mr. Chair, if I could just make the text that we have from the staff report has the old name, Minnesota Life College, and if I could make a friendly amendment that we alter our resolution to reflect the current name.
Yeah,
Okay.
apologies. You could reflect the current name.
So do we need to restate our motion then?
No need a second for that. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Second, the amendment.
I don't see where it says that in the staff report.
You could restate the motion since the resolution.
It was in the recommended action that I just said out loud, so I wholly support changing the Minnesota Life College to the Minnesota Independence College and Community. So it was in the motion that I just said that I read off of page 6.
I'll just make note of that in the minutes, so no worries. Okay.
Okay. Do we have any discussion? No. All right, so should we take a vote on this? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. The motion passes for a request for an interim use permit for Minnesota Independence College and Community to continue the use of property at 2076th Street West for a social meeting and office space for their community program. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, this is a quick meeting today. Next, we have our liaison reports. Community Services Advisory Commission, I do not have a report today. City Council.
Just briefly that the 65th Street bonding bill passed. I think I said that right. Anybody? Okay. So that was it was an important project that kind of got pushed back with COVID, emergencies and all that. So I think that is going to be a positive thing. And then there was something about moving, I think, the water main or something underneath the hub to a new area. So there could be more building in the hub area. Is that right? Yeah. So it's a good thing. That's all.
HRA?
At their last meeting, they discussed the Richfield Rediscovered program, which is an HRA program that started in the 90s to retain growing families in the community by building larger, higher value homes. There was discussion about whether to continue the program or perhaps modify the program to adjust or to reflect changing priorities. And it sounds like they had a discussion and they'll be bringing it back to the HRA for a formal vote and possibly changing the priorities of the program.
All right. Richfield School Board. Thank you, Beth. Who do we have on the school board? Do we have anybody, do you know?
I think it's vacant, actually.
Okay.
Yeah. There's been no report for a while, so
All
I've
right.
just been writing no report, but it's vacant.
Transportation Commission.
There's no report as there was no meeting.
Okay. Chamber of Commerce. Must be vacant. And Sustainability Commission.
Yes, thanks, Chair. The Sustainability Commission met in late May to work on educating residents regarding organic waste. Apparently, some of our residents are still putting the wrong items in the organic waste, so they're working on ways to smooth that out. They discussed work session efficiency as well, but no action items.
Could I ask a quick question, Commissioner Keneally? Have you heard if it's true, this is just a rumor that I heard at work that Waste Management, one of our 3 haulers, isn't going to do organics anymore?
I haven't heard that
Okay.
rumor.
Okay, sorry. Apparently, someone at our hauler, one of the account managers, said that it was in the Star Tribune. So might be misinformation, but I thought maybe that would.
I
You-
did see a story about organic waste hauling in Robbinsdale through Waste Management. They're having staffing and driving issues. but
Okay, but
I
not
didn't hear
Richfield?
anything about affecting Richfield.
Okay, thank you.
All right, the next item on our agenda is the City Planners Report. Nellie?
Yep, there's not much to report. We do have a new planner who's been hired and will be starting mid-July. Other than that, I have a note that there is not a second council meeting in August. So there's usually 2, and the August 23rd one will not happen. That's it.
All right, and our next meeting time and location right now is on July 25th, 2022 at 7 PM in the council chambers right here at City Hall. At this point, do we
Chair
have any-
Rudolph,
Yes.
would our new commissioner like to introduce himself?
Oh, yeah.
Sure. Thanks for having me. My name's Cole Huey. Live here in East Richfield, not far from here. Thank you.
Welcome aboard. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Chair Rudolph, I move that we adjourn.
I second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. We are adjourned.